All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Living Freestyle Game Dev live stream. My name is Kevin. We do this twice a week, Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings, and we work this like a Q&A office hours type things. We're working on game development, Unreal Engine, blueprints, visual scripting, all that kind of stuff. Also, if you happen to be going through our Python crash course for creatives, this is also open for you all to hop in and ask questions as well. I currently work at Riot Games as a tech artist. I work in R&D. We get to do a lot of really cool stuff. And the reason I'm telling you that is because even though I get to do a lot of really cool stuff, if there are no questions here, we fill the time by working towards my own personal working prototype, which gives me a chance to stumble through a lot of systems that I don't normally get to have exposure to and learn a whole lot. Keep in mind, all of those times are Pacific time. We are still having some camera fun, but the good news is we got some new hardware today. So I'm hoping between now and the next stream, we'll be able to get that all set up and finally eliminate some of our hardware stream problems. But we should be good to go. Today, and we're gonna hop right in because we have the day job we got to get to. But we're gonna be hopping right in. We had a couple questions from the last stream regarding animation without the abilities to, or montages, and then we'll be hopping. I think we're going to start by starting to work on our activating an ability within an ability until maybe Medguard will show up. If we don't see Medguard, I believe it's Medguard, then we'll just kind of cover those things from the combat system that I downloaded through the marketplace. Sweet. So let's just hop into Unreal. Good morning, everybody. Let's go screen left. We'll make sure all of our audio levels are good. Looks good. Sweet. All right, so where we were was we were trying to figure out why we couldn't activate evade from within evade. Or no, that doesn't. We were trying to figure out why we can't activate evade from within our sword combo. Because I've been looking at some of this combat descent or some of this defense system stuff, I actually haven't gotten very far with this. But one thing that I was thinking was it almost feels like our other abilities are blocked because we know evade works by itself when we use the hotkey. So what I've just done is I put some prints in here. I'm trying to figure out if our ability is getting canceled first and foremost. So let's see if we're seeing that cancel. No, we're not. So that means that we should be activating this ability, and we can prove that. Print string here, and we'll just print commit is good. Commit is good. And then just do the same test again. We're just trying to figure out where it's failing. Okay, but I'm not getting a commit is good either. Okay, hold on a second. We're not even getting to the ability. We're not even seeing this execute. Okay, this makes me feel like we're blocking. Oh, hold up a second. I have an idea. Hold on. Wait a minute. Talking about the sword combo. Oh. Look at this. I don't think we have our input enabled, so it's not being detected. So if that's the case, I think we need to move all of this. Let's try it. Let's take all of this and let's cut it, Control X. And we're going to paste it down here after we re-enable our input. Oh, come on, this would be cool if this works. Alright, here we go. Nope. Okay, it is printing. We are re-enabling our input, and we are printing this evade. So this should be activating the ability, using the ability system on the character. One more try. Oh, there it was, you saw it. It actually said execute. Oh, finally. Okay, so if we go sword combo. Okay, there's the execute. Wait. Hold on a second. I didn't see it that time. There it was. Wait a minute. Why is the execute printing before evade? That's kind of weird. Like, oh no, that actually makes sense. That actually makes sense because the print happens after. Okay, so we are getting the execute. We are getting the execute. So that's a step in the right direction. But now we can go back to trying the print on the commit because I'm not convinced that that's happening properly. Oh, you know what? You forgot to turn our tunes on. It's like, why does it seem so quiet in here? There we go. Okay, so now we got our execute, which is cool. So this is happening. Let's put in. Okay, but we're not getting our commit is good. Definitely not seeing that. So let's put in our print string to see if we're canceling our ability, because I have an idea on why this is happening now. So the fail comes up here. Actually, let's do two prints. This is a no forward movement cancel. No forward movement cancel. And this one is going to be commit cancel. That way we can figure out which one it is just with one run. Weston, what's your playlist, Kevin? Progressive house styles, nice background. Thank you. These are actually a whole bunch of good morning, by the way. This is a whole bunch of stuff that I grabbed as part of a license that I have that I can use for streams. So I got all this stuff off of a subscription service that comes. It's called artlist.io, I believe it is. Let me look up artlist.io. Yes. So in there, I was getting a lot of my folly and stuff like that for some of the early videos that I was doing for the channel that we've split out now. And then I decided that I checked and I can use all this stuff for streaming, which is cool. So it's nice to fill in the quiet. If there is a specific song that you hear or whatever, I'm always happy to take a quick look at what's playing and let you all know. Okay, so no forward movement cancel, and this is going to be the commit cancel. And all we're doing is trying to figure out which one of these is failing. Now that we know it's executing. No forward movement cancel. What? How's that possible? I mean, it clearly is no forward movement cancel. You know what? We're gonna have to change this. Let's, so how is this? This is getting the direction in a collapsed graph for dash. And how it was doing this was, it was getting the care. Okay, so now we know what's happening. What's happening is when we press the button to do the attack move, what's actually happening is now we're doing attack evade, but the evade, as we're pressing that button, the signal for movement isn't getting to the character fast enough. So I don't think we want to use movement. I think we want to use input. Which is interesting because we should be getting movement. See, here's our input. This is our move. And we're calling the input movement. This is wild. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can print these values. It's just an order of operations thing now. Did you have any, I know sometimes I get lost in this stuff. Weston, did you have any specific questions this morning that we can help you with? That's right. Okay, so just to explain what I just did. What I did is I put a print string on my move. Basically, this will print the direction vector that I'm moving. So you can see it's 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, and 0, negative 1. Those are just the WASD directions. So what I want to do is and if we were to use the gamepad, I believe we could get partial values. Yeah, we can get 45. You'll see I get decimals when I use the gamepad. I'm actually using the gamepad right now. Okay, so that's just giving us our move direction. Now when we start moving forward and we go to sword combo, you'll notice that we stop printing. That's because we disable movement. But then, as part of our attack move click thing, we click and then we start moving again. Oh, very cool. That's right. So basically what's happening is we haven't actually started moving yet. So using the move, I mean physically moving, there's no forward vector for the character when we hit that attack move evade. Because what's happening is we hit the attack. This is one of those songs that I should take out of the playlist. Whew. Okay, when we go to attack, we stop movement. Then we let off of the input key, then we press the input key again, which triggers starting movement and the evade, but we haven't actually started moving yet. And I could probably prove it. Let's see, just for kicks, see if I don't know how long this is going to stick around, but if we put a delay in here, put a delay in here of 0.2, we might get enough movement that this works. Let's see. No. In fact, this is a different problem now. Okay. Wow, so much fun. Okay. Why doesn't this work? Even though I thought it might work. The reason this doesn't work is because the ability is ending and I think it's getting cleaned up before this has a chance to happen. So this needs to be instantaneous. We could, if that's true, if that is actually true, then what we could do in here is we could put a delay here maybe. Let's try this. 0.2 here. I'm just curious about execution order here. Yes! Sweet. Okay, we found it. We know what's going on now. This is great. Okay, but it does make things interesting. So first, let's just get rid of all those annoying prints. That doesn't, those helpful prints, I mean. Thank you very much, prints. We can, okay, this is just gonna go into our trigger so we don't break anything. Cool. So that's good. That'll get rid of all of the other ones. And then now we know that our evade works if it has time to get movement. So evade specifically, we should probably put in some hooks to see if we don't have forward movement. So let's get rid of this. Good morning, Ed. How are you doing? You're still leaps and bounds beyond me, but I'm learning. Thanks for sharing. I still love watching you solve these issues. You mean stumble through these issues? Thanks for hopping in this morning, Ed. Okay, so the cool thing is we now know it's an execution order. And so we just need to think logically about the best way to assess this or kind of accommodate this. I don't want to get into trying to get the timing of this right. What I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking out loud because I'm making this up as I go. All right, what we're gonna do is this get direction gives us a facing and a last movement input and a movement. And then depending on what all that stuff is, we get a direction. And if it's nearly 0, then this fails, and that's why we're canceling the ability, because we're getting a no, remember, we're getting a no forward movement cancel on this. This is why print strings are so powerful. Now, what I'm thinking is in this get direction, if we get, for the case of evade, this is also really interesting the way this is set up. It's like kind of like this separate little button. I want to understand how that works too. But anyways, what I'm thinking is when we get to the end of it, if we have our vector length is greater than 0 or it's an AI controller, we do this. Okay, so basically what I want to try to do is I want to move this test is nearly 0. Where is it? I want to move this is nearly 0. Maybe into the get direction. Or if it's nearly 0, I want to get the direction from the current input. All right, let's take a look. Weston's looks like we have a question, maybe a question related to HUD UI. I have 4 slots visible in my equipment menu system in my start menu. If I wanted to duplicate those slots in a similar section in my main HUD for quick reference, would I just copy the menu code or add some sort of reference that just grabs a copy from the... I would use a reference. So for example, what you would do if we're gonna take a quick break from this. Let's do inventory. I think the answer is reference, and here's the difference. Okay, if the equipment, wait, let's see, hold on a second. You have 4 slots which are visible in your equipment menu. If the 4 slots in your equipment menu are the same slots that are in your main menu, and you're not trying to have different functionality or whatever, then you could just have an instance of your equipment slots in your main menu. They would also still be editable. You could still do a lot of all of the same things. If you just wanted it to be visual, you have 2 options. You can create a separate UI, which is just the 4 slots without any of the functionality or features, or maybe even better would be, so you're not editing the thing in 2 different places, setting up your widget so that you can flag whether or not it's editable or not. So for example, we have let's see here. Our equipment here, I can actually show you what it looks like, and it's very rudimentary. Don't laugh. Okay, if I bring up no, that's not equipment. Interesting. It looks like my debug menu does not go away. What? When did that start? How's this stuff breaking? Okay, so if I bring up my inventory manager, each of these are nested widgets. So basically, I don't, like, for example, I don't have anything in my active equipment and I have no items right now. And then this is what is currently equipped. But each of these is a sub widget within a main window. So this main inventory UI actually pulls in the equipped widget. And if we take a look at what that looks like, you can see this is the inventory screen here. But it doesn't have any of the functionality other than the tabs. And then if we look, we have the tiles. Let's see if we can find them. The tiles is where most of the work happens. Tile widget, I believe, is probably what to look on. Yeah, so these tiles are where most of the work happens in the UI from the standpoint of displaying the information. And even in the graph, this is where like a lot of the ability to click and drag and failure messaging and everything happens. But these are actually pulled into, if we reference this, you can see these are being used in the inventory screen content. This one is going to look just awfully blank, but if you look at the graph for it, this one actually goes through and adds all the inventory items. Now, by doing that, I still have the full functionality of the tiles, etc. If I wanted to, I could add a variable to the construction of this that maybe didn't make it so that you could click the items or whatever you wanted. But then at least all of your UI stuff is one place. And this is just like why we compartmentalize code into procedures. Because if you have a view of your equipment that's 4 slots, and you're really happy with it, and then you create a duplicate view of your widget that is just a viewing version of it, when you would want to make it so that that version of it is either referencing the original or you not have it at all. The reason being is, let's say you decided one day you're, they come along and they're like, you know what, players say 4 slots is too many. We only want 2. Or it's too few, we want 8. Now you're gonna have to update all that in both places. Whereas if you do it in one UI that just has the toggle option on it, so that when you want to display, if you even need that, now you're only editing in one place. It's the same exact logic and reasoning we use behind using variables. It's the same reason that we use procedures, all this stuff, maximizing reusability. Good question. Let's see here. Inventory widgets. We're gonna get rid of all those. We got our tagging relationships, and we're going back to evade now. Okay, so the problem is our vector is nearly 0. Since we're doing this test out here, I kind of think this whole section is going to go away when we're done. But let's just see, the core thing here is, what we want to do is, let's see if we can get our movement. And what do we have in here? We have get Lyra actor from info. What do we, okay, we need call input movement. I have never actually tried this, now that I think about it. Calling input movement is not the same thing as giving me the value. So let's see if we have our character. Do we have a handle to it? Get controlled. Well, wait, we have to have a handle from it, because otherwise how are we getting the direction? So in here, we're getting the Lyra character from actor info. Cool. So let's go back up into our event graph. And then over here, we're just gonna work up here for right now. And what I wanna do is I wanna get input. Can I get input? Character movement, get analog input modifier. Get last input vector. Or we could get a pending input in vector. Ooh, let's see what these do. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just, instead of printing no forward movement cancel, I'm just gonna print this vector. Let's see if it has any values. If it has values, we have all that we need. So attack, move. 0, wait, hold on. 0, 0, 0. It has no values. Okay, so that's not gonna help us. So let's get in pending. Let's see, do we have pending? Get pending input vector. All right. I've never even tried this before. The pending input vector is bogus too. So that we can't get this from input. We can't get this from the character movement component. We need to get this from the actual input. So that's not gonna work. All right, strike. I don't know how many strikes that is this morning, but it's enough. I have a crazy idea. We could add input vector. We could consume it. Add controller pitch and yaw. Get last. Wait a minute. What's the difference between this? Oh, look at this. This is different. Because notice it's not coming off of the character movement. Hold up. Have a great morning, Ed. Actually, have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you Sunday night, maybe. Man, that is such an awful color. I can't read it. Let's change the color of this print so I can read it. Something maybe much darker. Those are all zeros. That is still not helping us. Okay. So input. Nope, that's not what I want. Input. Get pending movement input vector. Let's try this. This may be happening so fast that the hotkey is not even being registered yet. It's not even being registered. I don't know how that's possible. Let's just confirm it. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to store. It seems weird that I have to do this, but just to double check, let's make a. Let's promote this to a variable. We're gonna right click, promote it to a variable, and when we're triggered, we're gonna set our action value. And the reason we're going to do that is because and we want to be instance editable. No, that's right. Medguard. Good morning. I actually have some answers to your questions too, or some updates for you on the, I have it up here in the background. We'll go over the defense combos here in a second. I just want to finish running this test, and we should have enough time to go over some stuff though. Apologize for the time zone fun. If you all have suggestions on better ways to communicate the time zone, by all means, let me know. Okay, so now that we have that, we're just going to finish this up. What we're going to do is in our evade, we're going to get, I think we can get the axis. Okay, we're going to have to cast this to a Lyra pawn. Cast to Lyra. Get Lyra character from actor info. What? Get pawn? I guess that's not a pawn. Get pawn. I don't want the player pawn. Let's do get controlled. Get manager, get controller, get Lyra, player controller from actor info. Okay. From that, we can get the controlled pawn. And from that, this seems weird that we have to do all this, but we can cast this to a Lyra pawn. No, I want to cast this to a shooter mannequin. We're going to cast this to a shooter mannequin. And then what we're going to do with that is we are going to get the axis. But it's not there. It's because it's not called access, it's called action. All right, so maybe we already had it before, we didn't need to do all this, but let's just, so here's our action value, and then we're gonna print that. This will give us a chance. Can I get the action value straight off this? No. Can I cast this to a shooter mannequin? I can, so I don't have to do all this. I don't need to do all of this. So let's just control drag, one of my favorite hotkeys to move those inputs without messing it up. Okay, so we're going to get the action value, and we are going to add that and print that. So let's see if even our action value is valid when we go to evade, because we may have to figure out something else completely at this point. Okay, so attack, move. Yes, okay. So we can use that action value instead of movement to trigger our evade. That answers that question. That's really cool. So let's put a pin in that for a second. Not a huge fan of that expression, but I think it's because of bolt. But let's take a quick second and switch over to Medgard's question from last stream. So I went ahead and as I mentioned, I talked to just one of my animation friends at work who is just a guru, and the two systems that he said he initially learned the most from were ALS, the Advanced Locomotion System, and that one is awesome. I've been using that one for a while. I really love how it works. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. And then the other one was this Advanced Combat System. Now, we want to be respectful of the people who are putting this stuff in the marketplace and everything like that. So we're not going to go through and dissect this thing down to the point where it makes all of their hard work done. But there are a few things that I want to call out as far as learnings about how this is implemented from an overbroad site. Hopefully you all are cool with that and you understand why I want to be respectful of people's work. First things first, one of the best things about this is Medgard is right when I went to buy this, they put in a discount. So rather than 50 bucks, it was only 25. So right now it's 25 bucks. Now, that said, overall, I think it gets back to your core question or your core comment. I think we're going to need to dig into that a little bit. You said that you found that animation montages are a little bit limiting. Well, it turns out that even this one does use animation montages. And well, first let me just show you what this looks like. But they are doing these attacks without using an ability system. Okay, so first attack, second attack, third attack. Now, oh, whoa, there's an enemy in here? I didn't know there were enemies in here. So this is a whole system that isn't using the ability system per se, and all of these attacks are implemented through the animation blueprint. There's also a parry, etc. Now, how is this being done? The quick broad overview is basically there is in the character, they are basically using, when they call their melee attacks, they're basically setting a state. They're getting the melee attack montage. So they're still using montage, okay? And then based on the montage they play, and what they're doing is they're incrementing the state of which one to play based on just incrementing. And then what they've done is in here, where's the interesting part that I found? So usually what'll happen is in your ability system, if the ability ends, you know, you've lost the ability to combo. What they're doing is in here in their light attacks, they have them marked up. So as the light attack happens, they have this input buffer, so you can put in, so you have a chance to use the input buffer. And then they have this ignore root motion stuff. But the one thing I didn't see that I was like kind of confused by was how are they canceling the combo? The way they're canceling their combos was in here. So basically, generally after they do their montage, they're just grabbing the current play value, and at 80%, you can see they're calling the reset melee attack counter. This reset melee attack counter is, let's just do a quick search for it. It will be pretty straightforward, but all it does is set their melee attack counter back down to 0. Okay, so this is a very clean and straightforward system to understand. It wasn't quite what I was expecting from a full-fledged ability system. Like, there's enough in here where I was kind of like, is using the ability system for what I want to do overcomplicated? Like, I'm definitely wondering that now after looking at this, but I don't believe so. I think I need to still use the ability system for what I'm doing. As far as root motion, let's double check. So for their light attack, actually let's just check one of their bigger attacks. Light attack, parry, special attack, thrust attack. Let's take a look at the thrust attack. Okay, so in the thrust attack, if we look at this animation, and we take a look at their thrust, we can see this is frame stopping. Where are we at with root motion? Yes, they do have root motion enabled. And I think that's part of the point med guard that I was getting at. This is a very simple, straightforward system. If you look at the animation blueprint, this was the other part that was mind-blowing. Just for reference, the animation blueprint on here, it's super simple. So like if we look at the anim graph, there's no state machines. There's nothing in here from a state machine. Yeah, exactly. So I'm basically offering this as potentially less is more, depending on what you want to achieve, because they have full, I mean, you can see they have enemies attacking. Like if I go in here and I play, you know, I have swipe 1, 2, 3 as long as I hit it. I have a power key bindings. Hold on, what are my key bindings? Special attack is, oh, look at this. They even have heavy attacks, left mouse button plus shift. Regular attacks is combo. Thrust attack is left mouse button plus control. So control left mouse button is a thrust. Heavy attack heavy attack is left mouse button slash. They even have in here, if I get behind this character, I can do an execute. Wait, where is it? Oh, come on. Targeting dummy, try backstab. There was a thing where if you just hit the button, you could backstab from here. They have a shield parry, like a parry. It's interesting, when I first tried this to do this. So all of this is being done, and if you look at this anim graph, there's not a single state machine in here. Right? They basically have base locomotion, general locomotion with lean, their final pose is coming from their lean with their slot for the upper body and then the full body. Okay? And then over here, this is unarmed combat, so we'll skip that for now because that's not what we're worried about. This is one hand with or without the shield. Basically, depending on what they're doing, they have these shield blocks, etc. And then the rest of this is being done through the slots and the slots and the animation montages. Because if we look at the montage for the actually, let's go back to here. Let's do a reference viewer on this. Reference viewer, and we edit this dude, and we look at this. The slot that this is being played in is the default full body slot. So what's happening is all of this gets ignored, and then there's the default full body slot that gets played after everything else. So they've literally, I mean, talk about KISS, right? They've basically implemented a whole kind of like combo system. I wouldn't call it an ability system, but a whole combo system through smart use of just simple blends and slots with the montages. So hopefully that was helpful. Like just a helpful assessment of what I'm seeing. There's some stuff in here, like they have a montage manager to get which montages, and there's a whole table, etc., that they're using to look up things like that. But just through the smart use of setting attack states and montage states and resetting that state depending on how long they're out of a combo, it's pretty full featured in the sense that we have power attacks, combo attacks, we have thrust attacks, we have parries. I mean, we literally have more than I have right now in my ability system in this right now. So it's cool stuff. It's one way to do it. Now, that does get me back. If it's cool, Megard, if you don't have any other questions, I was going to close this down to save some of my machine resources. Okay, cool. All right, it looks like that's good. Okay, now the other thing that I wanted to ask you about was, or I wanted to mention, I know the ability system is a lot to take on, but I wanted to offer one other thing that I'm excited to try personally. I don't know if you've heard of the Able system, the Able ability system. I have not. Let me see if I can create one here. Go into content. Okay, very cool. Okay, if I create a new Able ability blueprint, an Able ability, okay. We're gonna delete this in a second. What I wanted to show you about this. So what I'm doing here is I'm picking the asset. Uh-oh. Did it just crash? Hold on. Okay. So what is this? This is the Able ability system. I don't think I'm going to be able to demo this correctly right now because I don't even know how to use it. But if we add a task, I'm going to add an animation task to this. We're just going to click OK. Okay, and in here I can use a selector. I can pick montages or I can pick animations. So the way this works is you just pick it. And the reason I want to show you this is this sets up a very cool thing that I'm personally excited to try out, that I have not had a chance to try out yet, because I want to finish my learnings in the normal ability system and not be, to your point, sometimes necessarily beholden to plugins. But there's a really big reasons why I'm excited to set this out. So this technically is supposed to give you, let's see here, preview asset. Let's get a preview asset in here. let's get what is this? Hold on a second. I need to find SKM. Let's try this one. I have not used this, so I'm kind of stumbling through this right now. We have a preview asset. Do I have to compile this? Play? No. It's a here shooter. What is this? Okay, that's not what we want. Let's try enemy. Okay, we have a capsule. Oh, I see. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Let's try clean enemy. Okay, cool. So clean enemy, and then if I play this, okay, it kind of works, but not quite. And it's probably because that thing may not be retargeted. So let's delete this. Let's add a different animation. It's gonna be an animation. We're gonna play an animation. And then let's do the roll. Okay, when we play this now, nope, it's still not working. Okay. Anyways, the point is, the way this works is it's non-linear, so you can change this. So I can change the size here, and I can add another task. I can add another animation, and I could choose, not that one. Let's do rifle fire, just as an example. And you can basically stack these, I'm pretty sure. And the whole point of this is you can basically non-linear edit your abilities. And in addition to that, you can see it's trying to do something. In addition to that, you can also add in other tasks like audio, everything else that you can do in montages. So I'm actually really excited to try this out. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. And that's what we're going to be doing after we finish our exploration in the normal ability system. This works a lot more like a system that we have at work, and which is part of why I'm excited. All right, so getting back into what we're doing with our last bit of time. Have a great one, Medgard. Lost her. So good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever. Oh, so you can add character asset, then change them and depending on the pink timeline and have them switch on and off, sort of like bacon is exactly. So the cool thing about that Lost Her is it's like, and like I said, I haven't finished going through it, but the idea of it is it's like non-linear editing for abilities, and it's visual, which I love. So you can have different things that trigger. You can kick off events. You can have audio stuff. You can have effects play. There's all kinds of different stuff that you can add in there. So I got the plugin. I have not had time to play with it enough that I know what I'm doing yet. As you can see, I don't seem to know what I'm doing. But I'm very excited by it because we have a similar setup or a similar system at work that allows for non-linear editing of abilities, and it is a lot more intuitive to be able to do it visually like that. So I'm very excited to that, and I'm thinking about, yeah, exactly. So I'm doing the exact same thing you're doing, Loster. I'm gonna finish my understanding of the core ability system. We're almost there. I think once we get this evade done, I will be at a point where I'm like, okay, I feel like I have a much better understanding of how the base ability system works, and I could execute on the working prototype I want to build. But with that being said, rather than putting all of like my effects in the montages and things like that, I really wanted to give this system a try. It wasn't too expensive. Oh, you were saying goodbye to Weston's. Okay, thanks, Medgard. It wasn't too expensive. I think it was like $100. But if it does what I think it does, I think it will be more than worth it. And so I'm excited. As soon as we finish this current train, I think our next bunch of work is going to be around giving that a test run and seeing how that goes. Okay, so if you recall, we were in our evade, this worked. Our action value from our evade was good. So now what we can do is, if it's nearly 0, we can get, rather than just quitting out like this, we can test here's what we can do. We're gonna set our direction. All right, awesome. So if it's nearly 0, what we're going to do is we're going to set our direction to being the result of this. We're not gonna need our print string anymore. All right, and then what we're going to do, and we're gonna clean this up in a second. We're gonna make this pretty in a second, but what this does is, this is going to make a new vector for us. And so if our movement's nearly 0, because there hasn't been enough time between when we press the key and the character starts moving, we're going to get our action, the actual input values, which we know are valid. We're gonna get those, and then we'll do another check on that to see if it's nearly 0. All right, if that's nearly 0, we're going to redo the test in our condition. If that's nearly 0, then we will cancel. But it shouldn't be, and if it's false, we should just keep on rolling. And this may be the... Okay, we can do... keep that there, we can get rid of that print. I'm not worried about that, and we are definitely going to be cleaning this up here in a second. But let's compile, save that, and let's give this a shot. No, I don't want to do this. Cancel. Okay, I don't think we're actually using an enemy, so we're gonna just play an editor anyways. Okay, so here we go. Moment of truth. Whew. All right, attack. Move. Oh yeah, very cool. Our vector is completely wrong, but I don't know why she went left. Hold on a second. What? Okay, hold on. I'm having some resource fun. Okay, it is totally working. I'm curious though if we're going right. If we go right and then forward, she goes left. If we go forward, then right, she goes backwards. Okay. This works. Mostly. This works mostly. The problem is our input values are not the same as our movement values. Hold on, let's see how we're setting direction. We may need to do something a little fancier. So let's do this. We're gonna get the forward vector from the character. Here's our movement input vector. Get the forward vector facing last and movement. No, because it's not that forward is backwards. It's that forward is left. We need to rotate it by 90 degrees is what we need to do. I think that's what I said, right? Because forward is left. Let's check. Forward is left. Hold on, I missed it. Right is backwards. What? And left is forwards. Oh, you know what? Maybe you're right. Hold on a second. Forward is left. Left is forwards. No, we need to swap the axes. We need to swap the axes. Yes, lost her, I agree. Something is plus or minus 90, but I actually think it's an axis swap. So let's try this. What we're going to do is we are going to split this struct. Let's disconnect this, split the struct, and then let's split this struct. And then rather than connecting X to X, we're going to connect X to Y and so on. Okay, so let's try this again. So attack. Okay, now we need to multiply by -1, I think. So forward is backwards. Left is right. Okay, so now we need to flip the axes and multiply by -1. Do I want to take the risk and just multiply the vector by -1? Let's try that. This should work. We'll convert this pin to a float. If you guys didn't know, if y'all didn't know that we could do this, this started in Unreal 5. So we can flip that pin so we don't have to type in all 3. And then let's hopefully be there. Oh, this would be amazing. Like right at the end of the stream, we get it working. All right, hold on. Yes. Cool. Okay, now let's try left. Okay, that worked. Right, and one more. Come on. That's great. Okay, so now let's see what happens with our combo. Okay, so if we go forward and swipe, and then we attack again, it's still forward. Interesting. That skips. Whoa, what? Hold on a second. What just happened? If I go forward, attack, it's the second attack. Okay, that worked. Okay. There is one weird ghost in the machine. There's one weird ghost in the machine. I know you don't know this because you're not pressing the inputs, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to go forward, attack, evade forward, and attack again. But I'm not going to press any buttons. And she's going to evade again. So we have a little bit of a bug because it feels like she's running around on her own. So let's try this again. And I know why this is happening. Good morning, StimLabs. Okay, so we go forward, we attack, then we evade forward, and then we attack again. I let go. I'm not touching anything, I swear. And she still moves. Okay? The reason is there's an input somewhere. There's an input somewhere. Okay, so here's what I believe is happening. All right, we do our sword combo, and then at the end, we should save this, by the way. Like now that everything's working, let's just save all. Okay. Okay. So we do our sword combo, and at the completion of the sword combo, we are going to re-enable movement, and then if we activated evade, we're going to try to activate our evade. That works. Cool. Then what happens is in our evade, we're using enhanced input. Medguard. So basically, if this is locally controlled, it gets the montage checks to see if the movement is nearly 0. And if it is nearly 0, which it is because we haven't actually started moving yet, then what ends up happening is we cast to our actor, check to see if we have a hero shooter mannequin, and check to see if we have an action input. Now, the problem with this is we do have an action input when we first start this evade. Okay, and so we have an action input which causes us to evade. So we roll forward. I'm still holding the forward key. I attack again. It activates the second half of the combo. Then I let go of everything. We come back in here, and I would bet you ducats, money, that we must still be getting something from our input. So if we put a print string here on hello, we should I'll bet you if we recreate that, we get a hello, even though we let go of everything. So let's try. I'm gonna try to be really fast about this. All right, so going forward, attack, forward, attack, fade. I missed the second one. Okay. Could be the input modifier from the, maybe, let's check. Let's check, we'll check in a second. Hold on a second. So, forward, moving forward, and I attack, evade, attack. Okay, I let go, it said hello. Let's try that again. Medguard may be onto something. So, attack, forward, attack. She rolls, right? You saw my hands up. Everybody saw it. Okay, so she's still rolling. So, for some reason, you know what? Rather than putting hello, printing hello, let's print. Oh, I know why. I know why. This is simple. Medgar may be right, but actually I think this is what's happening. Here's the problem. We are always setting our action value. But we're never setting it to 0. Right? GPT-4 at PC. So we're never setting it to 0. I think we can just prove this just here. If we print ongoing cancel, somewhere in here we need to set our action value to 0. And what we can do is completed probably. Let's try this. Oh, my machine is starting to chug. Is the stream still coming through okay? I hope I have the new hardware set up by Sunday, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna set it to 0. If it's canceled, we're gonna set it to 0. Started, we'll keep it. Let's see if that solves this. Okay, so forward, going forward, attack. I missed it. Okay. Forward, attack, attack. No roll. Okay, that's good to hear. Do you see that? No rolls, hands free. Let's try again. See if I'm crazy. So we're going forward. We're going to attack. Evade, attack. Ah, I missed it. My Wacom is not helping me out here. So forward, attack, evade, attack. Hands free, no evade. That's what it was. Okay, so that's exactly what it was. So we've done it. We've done it. We finally, I don't even know how long it took us, how many weeks, whatever. We learned a ton. Okay, what this means is we should now have the ability to be much more purposeful with our attack, evade, final attack, right? That feels really good. This may actually be too powerful. But you can't activate evade by double clicking, although that might be a cooler way to do it. Overall, we can attack, evade. I mean, it's pretty powerful. So we may have to gate this. So now it also means that if I don't, yeah, you know, it's interesting. We're gonna have to figure out what players like. If I attack and I press evade too soon, I don't finish the attack, and that's okay. So like you could spam evade, actually, but you will never complete an attack, so you'll never do damage. So you can just sit here and roll back and forth, and you'll never do damage to the enemies. So that may not be a bad thing. If I actually let the attack finish and then evade, that's a little bit more purposeful. But it also means that I'm more exposed during those times. So if the enemies are attacking me, I don't know, man. I don't know if we're gonna change this. I feel like this is kind of cool. Cooldown timer. The problem with the cooldown timer is if you're in combat with 4 people and you have a cooldown timer and you just use your... Look, we're gonna have this problem with all of them. because I want it to feel purposeful, and we're gonna have to fight with this. There's gonna be a balance. There always is. There's a couple options in how we can gate this. All right, one is a cooldown timer to Medgard's point. The other one we can do is we can do like stamina, just kind of like mana. So we could use stamina, where you can do it so much until you run out of stamina, just like a normal person. So that would be cool. The third thing we could try is we could try like a charge system. Like you get 10 charges, 3 charges, 4 charges, and they recharge. So that would be another way to limit it. And then the fourth way to limit it is kind of like what I've mentioned here, where if you're evading, you're not doing damage. And I think the feel that I'm going for is that combat feels intentional and purposeful, and you feel like you have control. I think in a real kind of combat fight, and I don't want this to be photoreal or anything like that, but I think in a real fight, or oftentimes, at least in a lot of games that I play, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I would have to be almost dead not to be able to roll out of the way of that. And so I'm thinking, initially, we're gonna gate it, but at the same time, I don't want to cheat it where when I'm rolling, I'm doing damage at the same time. So I can sit here and spam this evade, but I can't actually do any damage when I'm doing it. So I think for initially, we're just not gonna gate it, but those are the options that we have available to us. And then Sappy Dev, I see that you have a different blockout material. Is that some kind of plugin for walls or blocking? Blocking out. I think I made it. Did I make this one? I've made similar materials like this before. This is the environment common surface quad grid material. Maybe I didn't make this one. We'll see. But it's basically, I don't know that I made this one. I have made similar ones to this, but basically what this does is the reason I use this is because each of these, it's controllable. Each of these squares represent, I believe, a meter, and then the sub squares represent more. So when you're playing, if I'm like, how far did I just roll? Like for example, my dash. If I do dash just took me, like if I start at this wall and I dash just took me, I can count real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meters. That's pretty powerful. But no, I don't think I got a grid system plugin, but this is just using, I'm pretty sure this is just using the pixel normal. Here's, yeah, it's just using the absolute world position, and it's got the checkerboard subdivisions are coming in based on your subdivision detail, and then this one is controlling the opacity mask on base color. Where are the lines? Here's the lines. So then they have these diffuse map lines that they're feeding in. Yeah, so it's really great for level design. I can quickly see when I'm in here that this particular box is about, you know, a meter tall, whatever. And if your ground started at 0, like if this box started at 0, the squares would be, like if my ground doesn't start at 0, my ground is above ground. So let's see here, I believe, yeah, because of the scale of this. If I move this down, my ground down, and you have 0 for ground, all the cubes start at ground. And I've even seen it where you can also change the ground offset so that the cubes start at ground. But anyways, point is I can quickly say, oh, this thing is about 1.5 meters tall. I should be able to jump that. It's a cool visual thing in level design to be able to do that stuff too. All right, y'all. I'm pretty excited. I think we got to a really good standpoint, so I think we're gonna call it for a wrap up today, unless there are any more specific last minute questions. Part of the reason that I want to do the wrap up is because I want to go get that new hardware set up so that we no longer have stream chugging problems anymore like that. So, pretty excited. I think we got our melee system to a point where I think it's just going to be good enough to actually start moving forward with the rest of our adventure to getting to a playable prototype that we can all play together. So I'm basically gonna kind of put a bow on that now and start moving forward with everything else. Enemy balancing, enemy Spartans. We're probably gonna need to figure out we'll probably need to figure out if we want the enemies to be able to do this same move. We kind of need to go back to our parry. I think once we get parry sorted out, we'll be good to go. At that point, I do want to take a break and take a look at the able ability system to see if it does what I want it to do in a visual way, which would be really cool. So we'll be checking that out in the future. And then, like I said, between now and the next stream, hopefully I can get my hardware set up and we can eliminate any of those streaming issues. As always, everybody, thanks for hopping in. This is what makes this fun, because we kind of can start riffing off each other, helping answer each other's questions. So always thanks for offering suggestions. Thanks for throwing in your questions. Thanks for hopping in the stream, checking it out. Loster over on Twitch, everybody over on Twitch, same thing. I got a new this current machine that I'm streaming on right now is over 8 years old, so I can't use Unreal and my normal camera at the same time. It chokes. And so I got a new I got an upgraded AMD. Nothing super leading edge, but something. Are you at some point going to create a Discord server or some form of community other than YouTube or Twitch? Yes, please, to Discord. Yeah, do we think that that's a good idea? I generally have used Discord only for like streaming with friends and things like that. I haven't really tried the running of a community. But if we think that if we get to a point where people think that would be helpful, we could probably set that up. Let me write that down. I have a meeting today to discuss some of these kinds of things, and I can see what the general thinking is on that. Discord server. Okay. Discord over Telegram over anything else? That's the general best practice at this point. Again, I defer to you all. You all know this stuff. You know better than I do on this whole social media stuff. If Discord's the way to go for, like, if that's the way to go, we can do that. As always, if you have questions, feel free to throw those down in the comments. If you also feel free to hop in the next Q&A. The next Q&A is going to be Sunday night at 10:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, we're trying to be consistent with those. Sunday nights at 10:15, Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. Also, like I said, if you have comments, if you have questions, throw those down in the comment sections. And finally, you know the drill. If you dig what we're doing, please, as shown, Sappy, Medguard, everybody, Discord server recommendations. You all know this social media world and streaming world, you know, in a lot of ways better than I do. Help spread the word. Help make this channel successful so we can have this cool community that we can kind of bounce these ideas around with each other. I'm happy to help facilitate that. And then, like I said, help spread the word and support the channel any way that you know best. Thank you so much for taking time to hop in. I hope you all have an awesome rest of your week, and I will catch you all in the next live stream.